The intersection of celebrity culture and the American criminal justice system has always been a subject of intense public fascination, but rarely has a case emerged that is as chilling or as high stakes as the one currently surrounding David Burke. Known to millions of fans worldwide as
Continues for platinum-selling singer David, now in police custody, arrested yesterday by the LAPD in connection with a gruesome murder of a 14-year-old girl who went missing in 2024.
David's music label, Interscope Records, is already distancing themselves from the controversy. KTLA's Lindsay Pena is live in the Hollywood Hills, where the singer was arrested. Lindsay.
Yeah, Cher, Micah, the house where David was staying right before his arrest, relatively quiet today, and we're still not sure who might be inside. What we do know is that David is in custody, being held without bail until at least Monday.
The rising music sensation D4vd, the 21-year-old artist now finds himself at the center of a legal maelstrom that threatens to end his career and his freedom permanently. In a startling turn of events, Burke has been officially charged with first-degree murder in connection with the tragic death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The gravity of the situation is further amplified by the decision of prosecutors to pursue special circumstances, legal triggers that, under California law, could potentially lead to the death penalty if a conviction is secured. This development has sent shockwaves through the music industry, transforming a story of artistic success into a grim, cautionary tale of power and its alleged abuse. The public's introduction to this legal nightmare began with a dramatic show of force in one of Los Angeles's most exclusive enclaves. High-definition video footage released by regional news outlets captured the moment heavily armed tactical units surrounded a luxury estate in the Hollywood Hills. The contrast was stark. The serene, sun-drenched beauty of the hills was shattered by the presence of officers in full tactical gear, their weapons drawn as they secured the perimeter of Burke's residence. The singer was eventually seen being led from the property in handcuffs, his face obscured as he was escorted into a waiting patrol vehicle. This was not a sudden impulse by law enforcement. Reports indicate that detectives had been meticulously building their case against Burke for several months, tracking his movements and digital footprint long before the first warrant was ever served. The catalyst for this nationwide headline was a discovery of such profound horror that it immediately redefined the parameters of the investigation. It began at a Los Angeles tow yard, a mundane setting for a grisly revelation. Workers at the facility had reported a pervasive, sickening odor emanating from a Tesla that had been abandoned and subsequently impounded. When authorities arrived to inspect the vehicle, which was eventually linked back to Burke, they opened the front trunk to find the decomposing remains of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The teenage girl had been the subject of a desperate missing persons search for months, but the reality of her fate was far worse than the community had feared. The discovery of her body in a vehicle associated with a high-profile celebrity instantly turned the case into a flashpoint for media scrutiny and public outrage. As forensic teams began the arduous task of identifying the remains, the details of Celeste's final months began to emerge, painting a picture of systemic neglect and violence. Authorities confirmed that the remains belonged to the missing teenager, noting that she had sustained severe injuries prior to her death. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence presented by the prosecution involved the radical physical change Celeste underwent during her disappearance. When she was last seen alive, she was a healthy teenager weighing approximately 130 pounds. However, by the time her remains were recovered from the Tesla, her weight had plummeted to a mere 70 pounds. The autopsy further revealed that the remains were not intact, suggesting a level of post-mortem trauma that investigators classified as a deliberate attempt to obstruct the identification of the victim or the cause of death. The investigation quickly shifted from the recovery of the body to the nature of the relationship between the rising star and the teenage girl. Prosecutors have alleged that Burke was involved in an illicit and predatory relationship with Celeste, beginning while she was still under the age of 14. In the state of California, the law is absolute regarding the age of consent. any sexual interaction involving a child under 14 is a felony, regardless of the circumstances. Authorities claim to have uncovered a digital trail of messages and location data that suggests continuous contact over an extended period. This alleged relationship is now being framed by the district attorney's office as the primary motive for the murder. The theory presented to the court is that as Celeste became more of a liability to Burke's carefully curated public image, he allegedly turned to violence to ensure her silence. In the days following the recovery of the remains, the Hollywood Hills mansion became the epicenter of a massive forensic search. Neighbors, who had previously viewed the property as just another celebrity residence, began providing crucial testimony to detectives. Several residents claimed to have seen the specific Tesla involved in the case parked at Burke's home for weeks before it was mysteriously abandoned and towed. Inside the mansion, the search was exhaustive. Investigators seized a staggering array of electronic equipment, including high-end servers, external hard drives, and mobile devices. This digital haul reportedly yielded over 40 terabytes of data, which forensic analysts are now sifting through. Among the findings, prosecutors allege they discovered hundreds of hours of illegal content involving minors, some of which they believe directly features the victim, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The legal complexity of the case grew as Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced a litany of charges that reflect the severity of the allegations. Beyond the count of first-degree murder, Burke faces charges of mutilation of human remains, continuous unlawful acts involving a child, and the murder of a potential witness. The special circumstances attached to the murder charge are particularly significant. They suggest that the killing was committed during the commission of another felony or involved exceptional brutality. These enhancements are what allow the state to seek life without the possibility of parole or the ultimate penalty of death. While Burke's defense team continues to maintain his total innocence, asserting that the evidence is circumstantial and that their client is being unfairly targeted due to his fame, the prosecution is signaling a long and aggressive trial. The forensic details released by the medical examiner nearly a year after the discovery have only added to the grim narrative. The autopsy confirmed that Celeste died from multiple penetrating injuries and that her death was a clear homicide. The report detailed extensive trauma and dismemberment, which investigators believe occurred both before and after death. Although the advanced state of decomposition made it difficult to pinpoint every specific detail with absolute certainty, the evidence of a violent struggle and premeditated intent was sufficient for the district attorney to move forward. Prosecutors have described the crime as especially horrific, a term used to justify the pursuit of the most severe punishments available under the American legal system. The digital evidence remains one of the most contentious aspects of the pre-trial proceedings. With 40 terabytes of data to process, the defense has argued for extensive delays to conduct their own forensic analysis. This cache of data includes not only personal communications, but also surveillance footage from the Hollywood Hills property and financial records. Interestingly, online sleuths and independent commentators have begun dissecting Burke's unreleased music and past interviews for potential confessions. One particular unreleased track, which leaked shortly after the arrest, contains lyrics regarding a relationship that had to vanish to save a career. While the defense argues that lyrics are artistic fiction and protected speech, the prosecution may seek to introduce them as evidence of Burke's state of mind and intent in the months leading up to Celeste's disappearance. As the case moves toward a jury trial, the personal life of the Burke family has also come under the microscope. Reports indicate that in the weeks preceding his arrest, David Burke transferred the ownership of 2 high-value properties into his mother's name. Prosecutors view this as an attempt to shield assets from potential civil litigation or government seizure. Furthermore, the singer's parents have faced legal pressure of their own as they reportedly resisted subpoenas to testify before a grand jury. Their defense argued that the subpoenas lacked sufficient specificity, leading to a series of appeals that have added layers of procedural delay to an already complicated case. These maneuvers suggest a family and a legal team that is bracing for a multi-year battle in the courts. Currently, Burke is being held in a high-security segregated unit within the Los Angeles County jail system. His status as a high-profile defendant accused of crimes against a minor has made him a target for threats, necessitating his isolation from the general inmate population. Reports from within the facility suggest that his daily life is a far cry from the luxury he once knew. He is afforded only a few hours of recreation per week and is under constant surveillance. This period of incarceration is just the beginning of what is expected to be a long road through the judicial system. As the world watches, the core of the American legal philosophy that a defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty will be tested against a mountain of disturbing allegations and forensic evidence. The trial of David Burke promises to be a defining moment in the intersection of celebrity influence and the pursuit of justice.